3, 2, 1. Burst of energy to everyone. Yes! Welcome everyone to the Story Masterclass. Blessings, love for everyone here in the room and watching. We want to give you confidence and love for you to start sharing your story on camera and for you to start sharing stories that actually sell. Welcome to this masterclass. In this masterclass, my hope, my wish is that you will come out of this masterclass telling powerful short stories that sell. Who would love that? Yes, yes, show me with your body and say yes in the chat. Say yes in the chat. Yes. Okay, so tell me, and let's be frank here. Are you afraid that you have been boring your audience with long stories that never end? Okay, let's be frank and say yes. Yes, because if we're frank, then we can move from here. Have you ever gotten on a podcast interview and, you've done a Facebook Live or a presentation, a webinar, and there was people in the room and suddenly they started dropping because maybe they fell asleep or your story dragged on for too long? Say yes, I've been there. Yeah, okay, let's be frank. Let's say yes in the comments. Okay, so today I want to share with you, let me look at my notes. What are we going to do today? Today, I'm going to share with you 3 steps to tell short stories that sell, to cut out all the fluff and leave only the story, which is what connects, which is what captivates, and which is what sells. I'm going to share with you my secret formula on how a story framework that will help you today start telling short stories that sell. Yes, fantastic. Woo! Let me see the comments. So everyone's saying hey, yes here, Dominique, and whoever is watching there on the live stream on Facebook. If you want to be here on the Zoom call, what you got to do is go to natalianutting.com/ or whatever is this diagonal thing, join us. I think it's called / natalianutting.com/join us, and you'll immediately be sent the Zoom link to be in the room. What is good about being in the room? You get to bond with other coaches, experts, speakers like you, get to meet each other. You get to practice also, and you get to engage, because it's only when we engage that we learn. Fantastic. And this is going to be you. You're going to learn today how to tell great stories and, most importantly, short stories. Hello, Barbie. So nice to see you. Okay, so this is the skill that we need to tell short stories. Why long stories don't work? Because for people to listen and to want to listen to long stories, they already need to be sold on to the story. When you go and watch a film, which is a long story, or you're going to read a novel, which is a long story, you're already sold on the story. So to sell with story, you first need to tell a short story so that people buy into your idea. And storytelling and teaching is the same thing, is exactly the same thing. Many people ask me, where does your passion for storytelling come from? It started with my passion for helping people to learn, for finding the way to teach better. And let me tell you a story. And this is going to be an example for the framework that I'm going to show you later on how to tell short stories. Okay, so this framework that I'm going to show you in a little while, it's going to work for your origin story, for your signature stories, for stories to teach, for stories to sell, because really, all great stories that are short, snappy, concise, they sell if you know how to tell them right. Okay, so I was 8 years old in a 4th grade classroom in the second desk. It was a pale yellow desk, and I was next to the wall there, and the teacher was in front of me, and she said, copy everyone, because I'm going to erase the board. And I'm like, I didn't understand the concept, and I raised my hand, and she looked at me. I've already explained this. How come you don't get it? Oh, I don't get it. Oh, stupid of me. Oh, why did I ask a question? Turn around, and everyone in the classroom is looking at me, and I go red, purple, and I want the earth to suck me. I feel so bad. And that made me feel stupid for the rest of my life, thinking that I don't get it. But at the same time, I had this fire coming from my core, and I looked at her and I said with my inner voice, because I still didn't have the guts to speak, I said, one day I'll show you there's another way to teach. Boom. There you go. I had no idea what was that other way to teach. But 20 years later, I'm on the second desk next to the wall in an 8-year-old classroom. In front of me, it's not a teacher, it's my student. He was just like me. He was the shy one, the one that couldn't speak, the one that doubted himself all the time. He was telling a story. He was standing in front of all of the classroom, and he had everyone captivated. I found the other way to teach. Teach with story. Start with a story. The story is what will paint the picture in the minds of people, but most importantly is what it's going to make people learn and also stand up and do it themselves, because they've already rehearsed the action in the story that you told. I started every lesson with a story. Listen, you cannot expect people to learn when you just teach concepts. You've got to tell a story. You cannot just convey concepts and expect people to buy. You've got to tell a story. The story is what paints a picture, an idea, and makes your audience feel that's me. Because as they listen to your story, when the story is simple, short, just like the one I told you, which I will break down now in a minute in the board, when it's simple and it's short, your audience is filling in all the gaps, and it's creating a story in their head. They are feeling their own story through your story, and that is what you want. If in my story, who here felt like, oh my gosh, I felt like that when I was in a classroom? Who here felt like that when you were little? Yeah, that's exactly how I want to make you feel, and that's exactly how you want to make your audience feel when you tell your story. Some connection points. And the simpler the scene, the better, because then they can fill in all of the gaps and create their own story. Awesome. Okay. So so sometimes, you know, the reason why sometimes we tell long stories that are boring and set people to sleep is because we lose the point of the story. The story is not about you. Sometimes we end up telling a whole life story and we are putting the focus on us. And what happens then? We lose the point of the story. We get lost in the story. We lose our audience attention because they don't know the point of the story, and we feel uncomfortable because it's about us. Who here has felt uncomfortable before telling stories? Yeah. Because we're making it about us, and I know, we've all done that. So this is, hooray, says Rachel. We're going to change this. We're going to change this because we're going to shift the perspective to our audience. And how do we do that? Each story is one scene and has one point, one takeaway, one teaching point, one outcome. The story is a reflection, the path, an example of how you achieved one outcome, right? The story I told you before, it was like the reflection of how I achieved the outcome of, one day I'll show you there's another way to teach. The outcome is another way to teach storytelling. That's the only reason why I told you that story. I could have told you tons of scenes of my life, of how did I start with storytelling and the whole process. But the point that I wanted to convey right now is that teaching and selling is the same thing, and we must tell a story. So I picked that story. I could have picked other stories to convey different points. If today I wanted to share with you and help you improve camera confidence, I would pick another story that has that specific aim. Yeah, it depends on what your audience needs and what they want to take away. So with this, we have different selections of stories. That one is one of my origin stories, but still it's got one specific aim. You might have in your story bank a selection of other stories that have different aims to the things and the topics that you teach. Yeah, is this making sense? Woo, awesome. Okay, fantastic. So what I want you to do right now, I'm going to pin myself so that you can see my video. And I'm going to start using this board because I'm going to share with you, and some of you already know this framework, but we need a reminder all the time. And as I share this framework, I want you to start thinking one thing that you want to teach today. You know, you've got tons of things to teach. Pick one thing. For example, how to sing better, or how the first step that you need to use ChatGPT, Dominique, right? Like you gotta really convince me on that one. I'm not using it. I rely only on my human factor and storytelling. How are you going to convince me? Tell me, think about one scene, one story to convince me of that. And Susie, you're going to think of a story to one story when you discover your element. Susie teaches the 5 elements of personality. Carol, you teach about dreams. One single scene that will teach us the importance of finding your dream or whatever, right? One single scene. So how do we find a scene? This is the magic of storytelling. This is the powerful framework for storytelling. Usually we tell a whole overview and a synopsis, and that doesn't grab the attention. What grabs the attention is when you paint the picture and you set the scene. One moment, pick one moment. I was there, 8 years old, sitting on the classroom on the second desk next to the wall. It's so simple. You can start visualizing yourself in a classroom. That is what you want to create in your audience. So this is the framework. First, setting. And I want you to write in the comments, setting. Write setting in the comments. Setting is. Who knows what a setting is? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Vicky, Dominique, Susie, Rachel. What is the setting? The setting is time and place. You're going to describe, where are you, says Vicky. Yeah, exactly, place. Where are you? I'm in front of the Twin Towers. I'm in my office, sitting on my desk. Describe the place. Describe where you are. And if the time is relevant, describe that. So for example, for me, the time was my age, 8 years old. Yeah. Time can be age or time can be a date if the date is relevant. Is 1999 and the clock is about to mark 12, right? So that was a pretty intense moment in all of us that were born, you know, like ages ago. It's like, oh, it's the end of the world. It's 1999. It's going to be 2000, right? We all remember that New Year's Eve. So if that time, if that date was relevant, then you're going to say the date. If not, is an age. And if not, maybe the time or the age is not relevant, but just the place. Okay, awesome. And as you're writing this, start writing your story. We want to get one story done today. Start writing that setting for that one outcome that you want. Now, what comes next? Who knows what comes next? After you painted the picture of the setting, Let's see who says it first. Write it in the chat if you know. Yes, Vicky, well done. Action. Is this big enough? Am I writing big enough for all of you to see? I'm going to write this much bigger. Setting. And now action. What does action mean? It means something that happened, something that happened. As soon as you paint the picture, I'm sitting on the second desk next to the wall. As soon as you paint the picture, we know in our mind that something is going to happen. By creating the setting, you're building tension. We know that a story is about to happen. And so what is in the mind of the listener is like, and what happened, right? Because a story is something that happened in a specific place. So action is the first thing that happened. And we do this step by step. Action is the first thing that happened. Okay, the first thing that happened in my story was the teacher says, copy because I will erase the board. Okay, so you state the first thing that happened. And when you state it, the best way to do that is with direct speech. Direct speech is a dialogue. Yeah, we want to use the voice, either your voice, something you said, something someone else said. We want to use dialogues. Or we want to use something concrete that happened. In your story, it might be like I was standing in front of the Twin Towers and boom, a piece of building fell in front of me. That is scary. Yeah, something concrete. Don't tell me your thoughts. Don't tell me your feelings. Just tell me what happened. Just focus on the action. What happened? The feelings, the emotions, the thoughts, let your audience build them in the mind, in their body. Because if you tell this right, they are going to feel all the feelings and emotions. You don't need to explain anything, right? I'm standing in front of the Twin Towers. Towels. I always say it that way. I'm standing in front of the Twin Towers and boom, a piece of building lands on my feet. I turn around and start running. That is the second action. In my story, what happened? In my story, my first action was the teacher said, copy, I will erase the board. The second action was I raised my hand. And then there's a third action. But for the purpose of just keeping the framework simple, we just write action, action, and then interruption. I want you to remember this as the story framework. Action, action, interruption. So I raise my hand and then the teacher looks at me and she says, I've already explained this. How come you don't get it? Boom. That's the interruption for me. After that sentence she said is, boom, oh my gosh, I'm stupid, I don't get it. The story could have ended there. That is a story in and of itself. Without me telling you anything else, you get a point from this sequence of actions and this interruption. You start thinking like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that she did that to you. I can't believe that's an awful teacher. I had an awful teacher like that. Like, that's not the way to teach. You start, right? Don't you start building those, don't you start thinking that way? Yeah. absolutely. So that's awesome. That's awesome. I just want to see you shaking your heads like, yeah. Is this landing? It's landing. Okay. So this is just one scene. And so this is all you need to know. Your story could be just that scene. And then we attach whatever we want to attach after this. We can attach, build a bridge and tell another scene, a second scene, a parallel scene, which is what I did in my story. So interruption, and this lands on me, and like everyone is looking at me, and I go red, purple, and it's horrible. And after this, I built a bridge, and I told you another parallel scene, which was 20 years later. 20 years later, the setting is similar. I'm sitting on a second desk next to the wall. In front of me, you expect the teacher. In front of me is my student. Action. He's telling a story. And he's got the whole classroom captivated. Boom. Interruption. I sort of in this second story told a little bit of an overview, but what came after this was the statement. Okay? After you tell your story, you're going to wrap it up with a statement. And my statement was, you can't teach a concept and expect people to learn. You have to tell a story. This is the other way to teach. Tell stories. That was my statement. So what is your statement that will make your message land? What is your statement? The statement is the point of the story. The one single thing that you want to convey is the statement. Okay, so I want to see all of you here. How is this landing? Let's see first, how is this landing? And please type in the chat. And for you watching live as well, type in the chat, what is one thing that that you learned from this framework? What is one thing that landed with you? One thing, one aha thing. Let's see. I want to see what you write. And then we are going to transition into practicing. Yes. So as you type in the chat, start with a setting, says Dominique. Yeah, that is one thing that landed. Romy says, simple, short, and crisp, says Romy. Vicky, action. Let them feel the emotions themselves. Don't tell them your thoughts. Yes? Yeah. Okay. Rachel says, the order is so methodical and logical, concise. Fantastic. Rachel, that is so important in storytelling. Oral storytelling is chronological. This is one of the principles of storytelling. Chronological. Yeah, we don't want to jump back in time and in the future. It's not a thriller. It's not written work, right? This is oral storytelling, is a different genre. It needs to be simple and it's chronological. That's why we setting, action, end. Awesome. Carol says the statement is the point of the story. What is the point of your story is the statement. For you to extract stories, first you think of events that happened in your life, things that made a difference in your life, little things, and then think of one thing you learned. And then there's a statement there. Right? For example, I remember when I learned how to ride my bicycle, and I remember that I was 6 years old and I didn't have the strength in my body, and I would pedal, pedal, and a little speed bump, and pedal, pedal to almost to the top, and back. I didn't have the strength to even go a speed bump. And so my brothers that were older than me, once we were in a house, and the main street had the street was so I don't have the language for this one. I know it in Spanish. It was very steep, very steep. And so they said, we're gonna teach you how to ride a bicycle. And so they put me there on the steep road, and they just pushed me. They just pushed me. But somehow, and and there was a road at the bottom of there was a road with cars running. So I had to learn how to ride for my life, because otherwise the cars would just. So sometimes a little push helps, right? That would be the point of the story. So think of events in your life, right? Thank you, Vicky. Think of events in your life and think of what is the thing you learned? What is the point? And that is a story. And that's it. That is a story. Sometimes, those silly stories about your life will work. Yeah. If you're getting stuck in your, what's my signature story and my origin story, well, then decompress that and start telling little stories. If you tell them this way with one single point, they will work. Yeah. Stories are to inspire, to teach, and sell. What other comments? Okay. Rachel says, allow the people to fill in the gaps. Yeah. Less is best with oral storytelling. It's different than written work, right? In written novels, the authors will fill everything with descriptions. Like, think about Tolkien. I love the Lord of the Rings. Who loves Lord of the Rings? Here, raise your hands. I mean, it's so much description, and so, but it's written. It's written. You are tranquil there under a tree reading the book, and you can turn the page. But in oral storytelling, is different. It's conversational. There's a dance for attention. It's short, snappy, and people can't turn the page. So oral storytelling, remember, is a completely different genre. And also, oral storytelling, we are using, what else are we using in oral storytelling that conveys a meaning? Type it in the chat. What else? What else are we using? Yes, body, Barbie. I knew it. I was waiting for you to say body. Yeah, Vicky, body. Carol, our body language. So body language and our voice conveys, Rachel says, our body, yes, conveys 80% of emotion in communication. 80%. So that's why it's so freaking important for you to start getting on video, on camera, telling your stories. Not only doing written stories, which are fine, but start getting on video, conveying your stories, because that's how you're going to emotionally connect. And that's how, when connection is built, conversations are created. And after conversations, conversion and sales. Yeah. Connection, conversations, conversion. Awesome. Romy says, our expression and creativity. Yes. Okay, fantastic. Gestures. Yeah. Susie says, you only need to state the actions and the interruption. That in and of itself is a story. Okay, fantastic. And Rachel says that makes it easier to remember. Now, and Rachel says, my sister did that to me on roller skates down a path. Oh, bless you, Rachel. Oh my gosh, that's how we learn, with a little push. Goodness me. Nina, motivation, Nina, how do we define the interruption? Okay, interruption, I call it interruption, but you could define it conflict, right? Other people will call it conflict. So usually the thing with other story frameworks, the typical story frameworks, is that sometimes you'd end up telling your whole life story, like the hero's journey. And the rising action, the conflict, and you think that is all of the conflicts that happen in your life. So what I'm helping you to do is just create one single scene instead of a novel. The interruption can be a conflict. It can be called a conflict. My point is that stories are routines interrupted. A story, an oral story, is a routine interrupted. Being in the classroom, raising your hand is a routine. That's what we do as students. What interrupted that routine and like made it a moment for me that I never forgot in my life and changed the course of my life is that the teacher said that to me. She interrupted what should have been a routine, something normal. Yeah, the teacher would reply, you know, help you learn, but she didn't do that. And therefore, I'm eternally grateful to her because thanks to her, I went into this quest to find storytelling, to find a way to teach. Okay, so who here, we've got 20 minutes, who here would love, yes, I love it. Oh, I love it. I love Dominique. I'm your fan, super fan number one. Okay, so Dominique, you're going to practice your story. And I love you, darling. And one thing, Dominique, boom, 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 heart. What, are you going to convince me of ChatGPT and stuff like that? I don't know. You're going to tell me a story. Oh my gosh, I'm getting hot. One thing, when we practice the story, will you be open for me to sometimes, if it's needed, pause you, to redirect you and coach you while you're telling the story? Are you open for that? No?
No.
You just want to tell it and just, yeah.
Okay.
Want to keep doing what you do, you know, boring people, right? That's what you want. Okay.
It's okay,
So
Natalia,
I'm going
it's
to
okay.
exit you from the room and ban you. No. Okay, you're open for feedback then. You're open for feedback. Yeah.
Do what you feel right. It's always right.
Okay. I just want to know whether you're coachable today. And
I am.
Okay, awesome, fantastic. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat. Our dear Dominique will share a story. Go for it, darling. Mess it up. We love messy stories.
All right. I'm sitting at my computer, looking straight into the camera and looking at my friend who is in a Zoom call with me. And my friend tells me, I'm desperate. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I should do. And I'm like, well, let me ask my friend. So I take my smartphone in the hand. I go to ChatGPT. I give a prompt. I explain to ChatGPT what we're going to do. And he has to record everything. And then it's going to have to give me a summary at the end. And we start. And after 3 hours of it, we were done with a total, complete clarity coaching, perfectly made, that normally would take 8 hours. And my friend was totally like enthusiastic, and she had it all. She knew exactly what was her life purpose, her vision, her mission. And she was energetic like never, ever. And ChatGPT helped us make at least this in half the time of what I would need normally. So my point is, whether you like ChatGPT or not, if you want to be efficient in life, even in a one-on-one coaching, use ChatGPT.
Boom! That's so freaking amazing. Your point was about efficiency, whether you like ChatGPT or not. Yeah, you really got me there. Like, Dominique, that was awesome. Yeah, fantastic. And what was awesome about Dominique's story, he really followed the framework. Can you all see that he followed the framework? Yeah. So I'm in front of my computer and I'm looking to the lens of the camera. I'm talking to my friend. You see, when the story is effective, you remember it because it's so simple. Talking to my friend, and he says, I don't know what to do. I'm lost. And I say, hold on a minute. Let me talk to my friend. And I talk to ChatGPT, and immediately we get the answer. And what should have taken 8 hours of a process, it took us only 3 hours, a complete framework for her breakthrough. You know, whether you like ChatGPT or not, if you want, what was it?
If you want to be efficient, you're gonna have to use it.
Yes, if you want to be efficient, you need ChatGPT. That is why it's so important that your point, when you state your statement and your point, it's so important that that statement is very simple, because otherwise we forget it. Hello, Nina. Thank you for putting your camera on. So nice. Your statement needs to be very clear so that we remember it. Efficiency, efficiency. So in my everyday life, if I run into the problem, like I'm not really being efficient, I'm going to remember Dominique's story. I'm going to remember Dominique's story, and I'm going to be like, oh, maybe I should give ChatGPT a go. I'm going to have to hear a couple more stories to really, you know, be converted into that idea. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I tell you 50 more if you want.
You can tell me 50 more. That's awesome. You see, Dominique now it's building a whole story bank of stories that drive to his point. So who here is a coach? Raise your hand. Awesome. Who here is a lecturer? Raise your hand. Awesome. Who here is a speaker? Yeah. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Who here wants to write a book? Okay, awesome. Okay, so what's important is to know what is our core message, a core idea, a core statement, but it's difficult to find it in one go. That's why it's important to build a story bank and to see all of the messages and the statements that we have, and then we start categorizing them into one core message. And so every time we go live and we tell, because with this framework, you're going to use this framework to tell stories on Facebook, to tell stories on masterclasses, to tell stories to your clients when you're one-on-one, Barbie, when you're on court, or when you're speaking to parents or children, you know, when you're fixing their relationships, helping them fix their relationships, you're going to tell these short stories. You don't want to bore them. They want a solution right now. That's why short stories are effective. And you're going to be telling all of these stories that have different statements, but they all go to Rome, right? They all go to the same direction. Awesome. Wow, there's tons of things happening in the chat. They said, great job, Dominique. Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that you've converted a couple here with your story. They're all thinking, maybe I should give it a go with this AI thing. All righty. So who else here? We have time for one more to practice your story. Who else would love to be an inspiration to everyone in the room and just go for it and be coached right now on your story? Raise your hand. Dominique raised it again. Who was first? Rachel, Nina, Rachel. I think Rachel was faster. Was it? Oh, Nina, you're going to have to be faster next time. Rachel, go ahead. Hello, darling Rachel. Okay, Rachel. No. Question. I got a question. Are you open for me to pause you right when you're telling your story, to pause you, just to veer you into a direction if I see that it will help? Okay, awesome. Good, good. Okay, Rachel, ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat because Rachel will share a story.
So I'm at home. It's a sunny day. I'm at home and I'm meeting my teacher, my vocal coach, for the first time. And Is that okay so far?
Yeah, carry
Yeah.
on. I won't
Okay.
interrupt you if I see that you're doing it right. Yeah, I'm at home. It's a sunny day. I'm meeting my vocal teacher for the first time. Awesome.
And I didn't know anything about opera, hadn't got a clue. So I just thought I just wanted a hobby. I'd moved town. I wanted a hobby. So I thought I'd just continue singing.
Okay, there I'm going to pause you. There,
Okay.
I'm going to pause you. And I want to raise the awareness of everyone. Do you feel that there Rachel was started telling another story? Yes, here Rachel, like we all do, is trying to give us a background story so that this moment makes sense for us. And we all do this. Okay, today I want to let you know that we don't need to do that. We don't need to give a backstory. Yeah, we are in the moment. It's not needed. It's not needed at all because people have background knowledge. People have their own story. I'm meeting my opera teacher for the first time, right? So I'm at home. It's a sunny day and I'm meeting my opera teacher for the first time. And the action that we want now is, what happened? Did she knock at the door? Knock, knock, and hello. And she says, "Ooh, you got a really good voice, even though you've never sang opera before," right? And that, with just that dialogue, we know that you never sang opera before, right? Okay, shall we continue? So we got the setting, and now what is the first thing that happened in that setting?
So, right. So he asked me to sing, and I was super shy, really super shy, you know. And I thought I've just been learning an a cappella first time ever. With my memory, right, I've just managed to do a short verse and chorus of a cappella from Neighbours, the series Neighbours.
Here I'm going to pause you again. Awesome. I love this example, and thank you so much for being coachable. Again, our dear Rachel is being a reflection of all of us. Again, she's tempted to tell another background story. Another background story of how she started telling a cappella to the neighbors, which is a different story. Okay, so we need to stay in the scene. It's such a temptation to tell background stories. So setting, I'm at home and I'm gonna meet my opera teacher for the first time. Knock, knock, knock would be the action. I open the door, there he is. He comes in. Hello, Rachel. Okay, what song have you prepared today? Right? We go straight into dialogues.
Right.
What song have you prepared today? And I'm like, we don't need explanation. We don't need to know how you're feeling. You just need to be in the moment. You will say, I haven't prepared anything. I don't know any piece. And how you're supposed to sing opera? Well, I know an a cappella song. Will that do? Well, okay. Let's try it. Oh, I guess I'm gonna waste my day today again. And I start singing, right? Like, okay.
Right, this is great, and it makes so much sense. and so the next action was I went, whoa, right, doing his song, not opera, but sorry, it was this a cappella song, and he said, grade 6 exam.
Oh my
Grade 6 exam.
Lord. Oh my Lord. Okay, so this is awesome, Rachel. Okay, so you're gonna have to watch this replay and then create the script of your story, right? So he says, okay, you have a go. And I go, whoa, and I sing my a cappella song. And I finish and he doesn't say anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, what are you gonna say? And he looks at me. He's almost pale and he says, grade 6. What? Grade 6? I haven't even done grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grade 6. Grade 6. Guys, for all of you who don't know music, or maybe you do know, or, you know, for me that knows very little about music, grade 6 is it's very advanced. Like, you don't do grade 6 just by singing a cappella to neighbors. Awesome. Grade 6. Okay. So here we have the sequence of actions. The setting, teacher comes in, he says, sing a song. I say, and he says, sing a song. I say, I don't have any repertoire action. What you got? Just an a cappella. Okay, go for it. I'm gonna waste my day. Oh, and then interruption. Oh my gosh, grade 6.
And
so that was just so you know, Rachel, that in and of itself, when he says grade 6, that is a story in and of itself. It's like,
wow.
Boom,
Wow.
that is a story.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah. What would be, boom, and it's so simple and memorable. What would be a statement that you can make for this story?
Statement is, I reached out for the next 2 years, trying to gain memory to learn arias. I begged him to teach me, because I asked him to sing. I said, what can you sing? Because he'd heard me, and I didn't know that I could do this with the London College of Music grade 6 musical theatre exam and prepare my own program.
So a statement here, this is an inspirational story. So the stories that connect the most are the stories that inspire us, that when we feel like, you know, I'm not good enough, I don't have all of that training, I'm not musical, but I can do it anyway. And that was you, without you telling us, like, I've only been singing to neighbors. So your statement is, it has to be related to that. You don't need to have, probably this is your statement. I don't want to make up something that is not the message you want to convey. What is the message you want to convey? You don't need to have done years and years of training to have a powerful opera voice. The only thing you need is to try to sing. I don't know, I'm making it, that didn't sound very convincing, but what would be your message? And if you don't have it yet, it doesn't matter. After this session today, you'll start, you know, thinking and feeling, what is your message to people that might really want to sing opera?
Well, I encouraged the whole village, actually. they created choirs because I came from nothing.
Yes.
So there was in the street, we were walking down the village, they just, how's your singing going? How's singing going? I had 3 years trying to learn how to breathe. I had to engineer my body to do that, because the whole body is the vessel for those notes. And I live for the high notes. I absolutely live for the high notes. Yeah. I feel like a dove in the clouds. I do. Yes. I'm in the flow.
Rachel, you have tons of stories, because I know, you know, we had a one-on-one, and, you know, I fell in love with you and all of your stories. And all of you all have really, really powerful stories, don't we all? Don't you all feel that you have tons of stories, and they're all micro moments, micro stories that have a statement. So with this, Rachel, I'd love you to start thinking, you know, when you go for your walks in our beautiful Great Britain, in the flowers and looking at the neighbors, think about one statement that will connect with this mini story that we extracted today. And there'll be a different statement for other mini stories, like encouraging the neighbors to start a choir. Maybe there'll be another statement for that. The statement is connected with what the story portrayed. Right? This story for me portrayed someone that had no specific training and still delivered something beautiful. So what is the secret? What is the statement? So I encourage you to find that. And for all of you, we are wrapping up. It's been a fantastic hour and a fantastic training. And as we are wrapping up, I would love you first to state in the comments, and those of you watching as well in the replay. Oh, thank you so much, says Vicky. Please share 1 or 3 things that you learned today. Please share there 1 to 3 things that you learned today. If it's just one, type it in the comments. I want to read it right now before we wrap up. And then I want you to share where do you think this will benefit you. It can be your next presentation, your next conversation, your next Facebook Live, your next podcast. Share in the comments, where will you use this skill? And Nina says, I discovered that it is not that difficult to be convincing at telling stories. Yeah, oh, I'm so glad, Nina. Yeah, it's so simple. Dominique says, simplicity is key. The simpler, the better. Vicky says, let them feel the emotions themselves. Shorter is better. There is no backstory needed. Yeah. Oh, hallelujah. Rachel says, how to construct an inspirational story the right way. Much gratitude. Me too. Dominique says, it will benefit me directly for my next paid speaker engagement on Monday. We are celebrating Dominique. He's having his first paid speaking engagement on Monday. Absolutely thrilled. Amazing. Yes, to more wins and to more paid speaking engagements. Guys, when we learn how to
ChatGPT.
or otherwise ChatGPT. Awesome. Nina says, it will help me in my presentation in university. Carol says, we love to tell the backstory that is not needed. I love the clean framework of this. Fantastic. Okay, so the next thing I would love you to do is, if you love this training, please write a review of how you love this training. That'll be fantastic. I'd love to receive that. Carol, we can see your page there. What is it? So please write all the things that you loved about this training, and what is one thing that you learned and how you will apply it. I would love to receive that feedback. I would love that, because that's the way that I can share more of the story framework and help more people have a voice and tell stories that sell. All right. I'd love having you here. I'd love having you again. In 2 weeks, we will be doing another masterclass, and I would love all of you to join. And a next thing I would love, besides receiving your feedback, is one thing else that you would love to learn about storytelling in a masterclass. What is one thing that you would love to learn in the next story masterclass? Okay, Barbie says, how simple and effective a short story can be in someone's life unknowingly. I will apply it in my YouTube videos and with my community. Hooray! Thank you so much, everyone. Burst of energy for everyone. Gratitude, love, and a big hug. Yes. Go tell stories. Go and inspire people. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Lovely. Share the chat and see you soon at the next Story Masterclass. Mwah.